On Tuesday, Governor Maura Healey signed into law what's being called the state's most significant gun safety legislation in a decade. Enact Modernizing Firearms Laws updates Massachusetts' existing firearms laws to address issues such as untraceable ghost guns and 3D printed guns, enhances the red flag law, further protects safety in public spaces, and increases violence prevention programming in the state. At a press conference for the signing, Governor Healey spoke to the importance of keeping the community safe.
We lead in Massachusetts because we know what's at stake. It's about people's lives. It's about the health and well-being of neighborhoods, of communities. It's about young people's futures and making sure that they have a future. And that's why this law is so important. And it's why we take on this national crisis, this ongoing and needless epidemic of gun violence. We want our communities to be safe and healthy. We have a duty, an obligation to prevent these harms. And we know that strong, smart gun laws save lives. Because to a family grieving an unthinkable loss, to a community traumatized continually by violence, to a victim of domestic violence, doing better than other states isn't good enough. Because we hold ourselves to a higher standard. And that standard is about ending the pain, ending the trauma, ending the gun violence. That's why we're not resting on really important legislation. I want to give credit to the legislature for enacting what it's done over the years in this realm. But the work continues, and especially in the face of misguided Supreme Court decisions, it's up to us here in Massachusetts to look after and protect our own.
The Supreme Court case in question was the Bruen decision, settled in the summer of 2022. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruen is a landmark case related to the Second Amendment. The case concerned the constitutionality of the 1911 Sullivan Act, a New York state law requiring applicants for a pistol concealed carry license to show proper cause or a special need distinguishable from that of the general public in their application. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled that New York's law was unconstitutional. This promoted Massachusetts state legislators to proactively draft new legislation to combat possible legal challenges to existing gun laws. We reached out to a local activist, Donna Wald, president of Grandmothers Against Gun Violence Cape Cod, who has been a vocal proponent of the bill, to give us her thoughts.
One of the most comprehensive pieces of legislation I've ever seen, and I work on a national basis as well. It's really forward thinking in that it shores up the laws we have, and it addresses new things like the ghost guns and stuff that we've always needed to address. And it leans heavily on community intervention funding also, which is key in this issue that we have. It expands the red flag law, which I have always said that school administrators should be involved in red flag laws because they see the kids every day. They know the kids. They know what's going on in the families. So the addition of school administrators and mental health professionals to the red flag law is great. I mean, for me, that was one of the highlights of the total bill. It really needed to be done. We need to involve the schools because in the school shootings, it's critical. I mean, it's just critical. The schools are not empowered to do anything. So it leaves them in a really vulnerable spot, and we've seen what happens when that happens. After the Bruen decision, that rocked the whole nation, and everybody started showing up their laws. And we were, to their credit, we were right on the front end of that. And that's when all this started to churn up and said, we've been thinking about this forever. We got to do it, or we're going to see our laws in Massachusetts challenged. And we will anyway. Right now, the NRA has said that they are preparing a lawsuit for us. So luckily, we have Maura Healey and Andrea Campbell, who are great on this. That's why I like the bill. It will put Massachusetts as the leading state in the nation for gun laws.
But not everyone is on board with the changes. We also spoke with Toby Ly of Cape Gun Works to find out what these changes to the law mean for gun owners on Cape.
If I can speak to the actual safety part of this, because that's what they're using in all media stories, that this is a gun safety is the buzzword. That's the dog whistle for gun confiscation, because that's what this leads to. Actually, the bill makes it way less safe, because what they're implying is that these evil features on so-called assault-style weapons are things that make it easier to shoot your gun. The state should deal with those who are the problem. You never make a law to control 2% of the population by enforcing a law for that 2% on 98%. So right now, they're making it harder for peaceful, lawful citizens to own and shoot guns. And if they overstep a boundary or a line that is an arbitrary rule that the Congress came up with, now they are a felon and face government violence and jail time. They like to shroud gun safety legislation in some net positive for society when it's not. All it is doing is making more arbitrary and capricious and, by the way, unconstitutional laws, and trying to make it even harder for peaceful, law-abiding citizens to continue to be that way.
Let us know what you think. Does this new law make Massachusetts more or less safe?